Luxury watch culture is evolving, and in 2026, the world's wealthiest collectors are no longer focusing only on Rolex, Patek Philippe, and Audemars Piguet. Instead, a new generation of rare timepieces, independent watchmakers, and ultra-exclusive models is quietly taking over billionaire watch collections. These aren't the watches you see on Instagram, they're the watches serious collectors whisper about in private auctions. The watches that sell for millions before the public even knows they exist. Today, we're exploring the luxury watches that billionaires are actually buying in 2026. From legendary independent watchmakers to extremely rare pieces that most people have never even seen in person. Let's dive in. The shift away from mainstream hype. Something fascinating is happening in the luxury watch world. While Rolex sports models and Patek Philippe Nautilus pieces still command attention, the ultra-wealthy are increasingly turning elsewhere. They're buying watches from independent watchmakers, small-scale artisans producing 50 to 200 watches per year, sometimes fewer. These watchmakers operate outside corporate structures, creating timepieces with craftsmanship and finishing that even the Holy Trinity brands struggle to match. Why the shift? Because billionaires aren't chasing hype, they're chasing substance, genuine scarcity, horological purity, and quiet luxury that only other collectors recognize. Philippe Dufour, the master. At the absolute peak of independent watchmaking sits Philippe Dufour. Born in the Vallée de Joux in 1948, Dufour is widely considered one of the greatest living watchmakers. He works alone in his workshop in Switzerland, hand finishing every component of every watch he creates. His most famous creation is the Simplicity, a watch that, despite its name, represents the pinnacle of traditional watchmaking. Clean, elegant, perfectly executed, but it's his grande et petite sonnerie that truly defines his legacy. In 2021, one of these watches sold for $7.63 million through a collected man, a London-based dealer specializing in independent watchmakers. That sale set a world record for the most expensive independent watch ever sold. Only 8 of these grande sonnerie watches exist. The one that sold was originally made for the Sultan of Brunei in 1995. It took Dufour a decade to complete. The watch features a grand sonnerie complication, meaning it automatically strikes on the hour and at each quarter. It can also function as a petite sonnerie, striking only on the hour, and it includes a minute repeater that can be activated on demand. Even Philippe Dufour himself has said that Christine Hutter, another independent watchmaker, is doing finishing work that nobody else is doing. That's the level we're talking about here. FP Journe, the modern independent. Francois-Paul Journe represents the modern face of independent watchmaking. His brand, FP Journe, was founded in 1999 with a philosophy centered around invenit et fecit, Latin for invented and made. Every component is designed and manufactured in-house. Journe's production is limited to around 900 watches per year. That's tiny compared to Patek Philippe, which produces roughly 60,000 annually, and collectors have taken notice. In 2019, an FP Journe Astronomy Blue, a prototype featuring a tourbillon and minute repeater, sold at the Only Watch charity auction for nearly 1.8 million euros. That result triggered what the watch world now calls Journe mania. FP Journe watches have seen their values skyrocket on the secondary market. Early models, particularly those with rare dial colors like the blue petrole mirror dial, are now fetching prices several times their original retail. In November 2022, a grand sonnerie with that rare blue petrol dial sold at Christie's for 4.46 million euros. The brand is still controlled by its founder, who actively engages with collectors. That personal connection, combined with technical innovation and extreme scarcity, makes FP Journe one of the most desirable independent brands in the world. Roger W. Smith, the British master. Roger W. Smith carries the legacy of George Daniels, the British watchmaker who pioneered modern independent watchmaking in the 1970s. Smith was Daniels' only apprentice, and today he operates from the Isle of Man, producing fewer than 10 watches per year. Yes, fewer than 10. Each watch is made almost entirely by hand, from case to movement to dial. The level of finishing rivals anything produced by the major Swiss houses. Smith's Series 1 watches are particularly coveted. These are limited production pieces that showcase his mastery of traditional English watchmaking techniques. The waiting list for a Roger W. Smith watch is measured in years, and prices on the secondary market reflect that extreme scarcity. Akrivia, the young prodigy. Recep Rexepi founded Akrivia in 2012 at just 23 years old. That might sound young for a master watchmaker, but Rexepi started his horological career at age 14 and later led the complications team at movement manufacturer B&B Concept before striking out on his own. Akrivia produces maybe 20 to 30 watches per year, focusing on exquisite finishing over radical design. The brand has quickly become a favorite among ultra-high net worth collectors. A collected man, the London dealer is an authorized retailer, which tells you everything you need to know about the level Akrivia operates at. These aren't watches for people who want attention, they're watches for collectors who understand what they're looking at. MB&F and De Bethune Kinetic Art. MB&F, Maximilian Busser and Friends, treats watches as kinetic sculptures, radical designs that look nothing like traditional timepieces. Founder Max Busser collaborates with creative watchmakers to produce limited editions that blur the line between horology and art. De Bethune, founded in 2002, combines historical inspiration with futuristic design, proprietary balance wheel technology, and distinctive titanium cases with mirror polished surfaces. Both appeal to collectors who view watches as wearable art. Greubel Forsey, Engineering Mastery. Greubel Forsey represents the intersection of independent watchmaking and extreme technical complexity. Founded in 2004 by Robert Greubel and Stephen Forsey, the brand produces some of the most complicated mechanical watches in the world. Their signature achievement? The double tourbillon 30 degrees, a watch featuring two tourbillons inclined at 30 degrees, working together to improve timekeeping accuracy. Production is tiny, maybe 150 watches per year across all models. Prices start in the hundreds of thousands and can exceed $1 million for particularly complicated pieces. Kari Voutilainen, the Finnish master. Kari Voutilainen operates from Moutier, Switzerland, producing around 50 watches per year. His specialty is hand-engraved dials and movements with museum-quality finishing. Each watch takes months to complete. Voutilainen trained as a watch restorer before becoming an independent watchmaker, giving him an intimate understanding of historical watchmaking techniques. His pieces regularly appear at major auctions and consistently achieve strong results, with collectors drawn to the combination of artistic dial work and mechanical excellence. Why billionaires choose independence. So why are the world's wealthiest collectors turning to these small independent brands instead of just buying more Patek Philippes? 3 reasons. First, genuine scarcity. Second, craftsmanship. Third, quiet luxury. An FP Journe or Philippe Dufour doesn't scream "I'm rich" the way a Rolex Daytona does. It whispers, "I know what matters." The watches billionaires are secretly buying in 2026 represent the absolute peak of horological art, combining craftsmanship, heritage, exclusivity, and status at levels most people can't even comprehend. These aren't watches you see in store windows. They're watches acquired through dealers like a collected man, through private connections with watchmakers, and through invitation-only auctions. Philippe Dufour, FP Journe, Roger Smith, Recep Rexepi, Greubel Forsey, Kari Voutilainen. These are the names serious collectors are chasing, and if you have to ask how much they cost, you probably can't afford them. Which luxury watch would you wear if money didn't matter?